Hey besties. I thought today we would do a video on drafting. I've actually tried to shoot this like 3 times and life just keeps interfering. So hopefully this time I can actually get it filmed. I don't know, things are just chaotic lately. Like I enjoy chaos, but not this kind of chaos. Anyways, for drafting, I wanted to start with a worsted prep. So I have some dyed BFL that I hand combed. We're going to use this because it's nice bright colors. So hopefully we'll be able to see the fibers fairly easy. And we're going to go over all the different methods of drafting. So the first thing that we need to discuss is woolen versus worsted. So this is a worsted prep. It's combed. That means all the fibers are going in the same direction. Okay. Now, regardless of your prep, okay, don't confuse worsted prep with worsted yarn with a worsted draft. I know it gets so confusing. But right now we're just discussing a worsted draft versus a woolen draft. So the only difference is your drafting triangle. So this is your fiber, your yarn spun here, right? From your spun fiber to your loose fiber, you have this triangle shape. I'm trying to not get my face in it. So this triangle shape is your drafting triangle. The only difference between worsted and woolen is if you let the twist into this triangle. So I'm pinching it here. There's no twist. Focus on the fiber. There we go. There is no twist between the pinch and the fiber. That is a worsted draft. It just means you do not let the twist into this. Now, a woolen draft is where you let that twist enter the fiber and you draft with the twist. And then you let the twist in. So between your feeder hand and your holding hand, you let that twist into that drafting triangle. That is a woolen draft. Those are the two things that differentiate between a woolen draft and a worsted draft. That's it. Whether you let the twist into this fiber or don't let the twist into this fiber. Now, there are various ways we achieve that, which is what we're going to discuss today. I'm going to set you up at the wheel, hopefully nice and close so you can see what's going on. I'm just going to pull off that little bit that I twisted. Put that to the side. I'll use it for something else. And I do have some yarn already spun on the wheel, so I have something to work with. And we are going to use this fiber and go over the various methods of drafting. Now, for woolen, we don't need roll eggs or bats or just a cloud. You can do a woolen draft with a worsted prep because, again, when it comes to drafting, the only difference between worsted and woolen is if you let that twist into this triangle of fiber. So don't let it get you all fuzzed up. You can use whatever prep you want to spin woolen or worsted. Now, there is a chance that I will use the wrong word when I don't mean to. I might say woolen when I mean worsted or worsted when I mean woolen. If I do that, because I know me, I will put the correct term on the screen. So keep an eye on the screen in case I use a wrong word somewhere. I will try not to, but it's so easy to do. All right, let's get to the wheel. Okay, so I'm trying to cuddle you in nice and close here. This is a tricky angle to film, but we're going to do it. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use up this fiber. Just so we can start fresh. All right, I'm going to increase my uptake because that's a little lax. So here we have our worsted prep. Here we have our leader. In this case, it is spun yarn, but whatever your leader is. So we're going to join our yarn and stop the twist from entering the triangle. So this is worsted. We have our pinching hand and our holding hand. I'm sure there are technical names for them, but I call them the pinching hand and the holding hand because we don't need to be technical. We just need to know what each hand is doing. If you do it the other way, that's fine. Then your right hand is your pinching hand, your left hand is your holding hand. This is just the way I spin. However you are comfortable doing it, you will have your pinching hand and your holding hand. So we want to start adding twist and making yarn. So to keep it a woolen draft, a worsted draft, see, I've already done it. So to keep it a worsted draft, we want to keep the twist out of our fiber. So what I'm going to do is what's called a short forward draft. I'm going to pull the fiber forward until it's the thickness I want, and then slide my fingers down so the twist enters it. So let's do that again. Hold on. All right, so here's my holding hand. I'm going to pull the fiber forward until I see that it's the thickness I want, the number of fibers I want, then slide my hand down to let the twist enter those fibers. But I am not letting the twist go past my pinching hand. That is what makes it a worsted draft. Now, things to discuss. You don't have to pinch so hard here that, you're pressure and hurting your hands. It doesn't take much. It's just a gentle pinch to keep that twist from going past your fingers. Also, with your holding hand, you don't need to grip that fiber so tight. You're just gently holding it. Okay? Excuse me. It's just a gentle hold. You're just controlling that fiber. You're only holding it enough that you can draft off it. So it doesn't require that much pressure. You don't need to be abusing your hands to do this. All right, so short forward draft. We're going to pull our fiber forward, then slide our fingers down. Pull our fiber forward, slide our fingers down. Pull our fibers forward, slide our fingers down. So basically, our pinching hand is doing the majority of the work in this draft. So this is a worsted draft where we are not letting the twist into the fiber, pulling our hand forward, sliding it back, pulling our hand forward, sliding it back. So this is a short forward draw. You can make it as short as you like and as long as the staple length of your fiber. Either way, it's considered a forward draw, short forward draw. So our next option is generally what I prefer to do. It's just what I'm comfortable with. It has nothing to do with what's right, because we don't believe in what's right. We believe in what works. I don't know why I'm making air quotes, but I am. So what I do is a short backward draw. As the name implies, we're going to go backwards. The difference here being that our holding hand is going to be doing more of the moving than our pinching hand. So we're going to pull back on the fiber and then let it forward into that twist. Pull back, let it forward into that twist. Again, we're not letting the twist get into our fiber. Our pinching fingers are going to stop that from happening. We pull back until we see the thickness that we want in our fiber, and then we let it go forward. Pull back, let it go forward. Pull back, let it go forward. So this is a short backward draw. And again, this is worsted because we are not letting the twist go past our pinching hand. And in this one, our holding hand is doing most of the work. Now, how I prefer to do my backward draw is I will go slide, 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 and then onto the wheel. So I will do a few and then onto the wheel. Now in this one, my pinching hand is participating more. If you have wrist problems or elbow problems or any sort of joint problem that prevents you from free movement, either of these techniques will allow you to use whichever hand is more agile. So if your right hand or your holding hand for whatever reason doesn't work as well, then the forward draw is better for you. If your pinching hand for whatever reason isn't as agile, then the backward draw. Either of these are going to produce the exact same thing. It's just a matter of the technique, but they are exactly the same. There is no good, better, best. They do the same damn thing. It's a matter of what you can do and what you're comfortable doing. Okay? So those are your two basic worsted drafts. Now we're going to talk woolen. Again, don't confuse woolen prep with woolen draft. Woolen draft simply means that your pinching hand is going to let that twist into the fiber. So we are now on a woolen draft simply by letting that twist come down into our fiber. Make sure I'm still on camera. I am. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow that twist into the fiber, but I want to control how much fiber is getting into this yarn. So in order to do that, I will use my pinching hand to draw forward the fiber until I feel it's about the right thickness. Now, why do we do this? As you can see, this is allowing air into the fiber. It's not as compact or compressed as a woolen draft. That's going to make for a warmer, fluffier yarn. So if you need something that's going to be hard wearing, you're going to want a worsted draft to compress those fibers and smooth them as much as possible to make a really strong yarn. If you want something that's going to be warmer, you want to do a woolen draft because that air that's trapped inside those fuzzy fibers is going to get warmed and keep more heat into you. All right. Now, it is going to be a little less resistant to wear because as you can see with rubbing, it fuzzes up even more. And that's when you start to get your pills and all of that thing. But it's so warm that it's worth it. So let's continue a little bit more of our woolen draft. So we're going to pull and then let the twist into that drafting triangle. Now, this is a short forward woolen draft. Okay, now we're going to do a short backwards woolen draft. So we're going to use our pinching hand to hold that twist while we draw the fibers back, then let the twist in. Move it forward, draw it back, let the twist in. What the main difference is we're not smoothing, okay? We're letting the twist take it, and then we're going to draw back and let the twist take it, okay? We're not smoothing over it with our fingers. We're not crushing all that down and compacting it. We're making a light, airy, fluffy yarn, okay? So that's the short backward. Now here's where you get to your long draw. Now I may have to move the camera back for this one. Give me a second, I'm going to reposition. Okay, woolen prep, long draw. You do not need to have fiber that is woolen prepped. We're just going to woolen draft our worsted fiber, and it is going to work. Don't worry about that, it will work. Because again, the difference between a worsted draw and a woolen draw or draft is letting that twist into the fiber. That's the only difference when we're talking woolen drafting versus worsted drafting. Woolen, we let that twist into the fiber. Worsted, we do not. So at this moment, I am prepped for worsted spinning because the twist is not going into my fiber. But we're going to do woolen long draw. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start adding twists. Then I'm just going to let that twist in and then draw out the fiber to get it to the thickness I want. And then I'm going to put it onto the wheel. So basically what I'm doing is I'm bracing against the pinch here just to draw out the fiber before I let the twist in. Now here's the cool thing about woolen. I'm going to clasp the fiber here to keep it from drawing in any more fiber. But I have this chunky bit here, right? So I just want to stretch that out. And I can't do it very easily because of the twist, right? Oh, of course, then it goes and does it. All right, let me do a really short long draw. But that's basically long draw. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a really short one, and I'm just going to let the fiber go nuts. Okay, so now we have very uneven. You can probably see there that we have fluffy bits and non-fluffy bits. Okay, so in order to even out that twist, we're going to draft, let fiber in until it drafts easily, and then let the twist in. So the interesting thing about twist is it's always going to go to the thinnest points. So you can see here we have a bit of a slub, and that is actually a nep that I'm going to pull out. Okay? Your twist is always going to go to your narrowest places. So when you're spinning, hold on, let me get this on the wheel, and I'm going to make a big slub. Okay. So you can see here we have a slubby bit, and then the fiber thins out again. Now, watch what happens when I add the twist. See how it twists here and it twists here quicker. This section does not, because the twist is always going to go where it's the thinnest. Okay? So in order to even this out, we need to get that twist to travel into there. So we need to first draft out and then pull it. Okay, we got to get the twist undone so you can actually undo it by hand and then pull it back until it's more even, and then we let our twist in. Now, with practice, okay, there's our slub. You can simply stop the twist from entering as you draft that fiber until you get it to an even place. I'm going to add a little more twist. It wants to drift apart on me. There we go. And at that point, you can then wrap your fiber here so no more fiber is being pulled in. Add your twist. Again, woolen, we're not smoothing, and then onto the bobbin. All right, and that's the basics of the long draw. You can learn to spin sideways and go as long as you want, or you can do a short long draw. I think we called that a Fred. Oops. It's hard to do this, concentrate on the yarn and what I'm saying. So my technique here isn't perfect. I'm not getting as good a yarn as I would if I was just focusing on making the yarn as opposed to showing. Okay, let me just get this back on the wheel. Okay. Now, the long draw technique is basically about working a longer piece before putting on the wheel. So basically just that only goes back to my hip. I've gotten it too thin. Come on. Okay. I have basically just worked to my hip. If you have shoulder issues or hip issues or anything else, this is long draw. Now, granted, it's not the long draw that goes as far out as you possibly can, but it is long draw. And then you can put it onto your wheel. Basically, the basics of long draw are just that you're going to work a fairly long piece of yarn. So I've gone as far as my hip before you put it on the wheel. That's all. That's the basics of long draw. Now you can get then into your semi-worsted, semi-woolen draws. So one of my favorites is a you could go either way, woolen or worsted. So I let the twist in till I get the width I want, and then I smooth my fingers over it and lightly compact the yarn. Okay? That is considered a semi-worsted or a semi-woolen draft because I'm doing both. But honestly, it's just a woolen draft with the smoothing from the fingers, because when it comes to drafting, it's whether you let the twist into this fiber or not. Okay? So in my opinion, this is a woolen draft. There's nothing else to it. It is woolen because the twist is in the fiber. If it's worsted, we do not let that twist in. I mean, technically, I think my short backwards draw that I work could be considered a semi-worsted draft because I am making a length of yarn before I let it onto the wheel. But when we come right down to the draft, hold on, I need more fiber. When it comes to the draft, the only two things are you letting your twist into your drafting triangle or not? If you keep the twist out of that drafting triangle, that is a woolen spin, a woolen draft, regardless of whether you go forward or backwards or some variation thereof. As long as you are not letting twist into that, it is a worsted draft. As soon as you let that twist into the fiber, that is a woolen draft. Now, I am sure there are hundreds of different ways for people to do their spinning. It all comes down to literally worsted versus woolen is, do you let the twist into that triangle or not? That's all there is. It doesn't matter your yarn prep, your fiber prep. All that matters, worsted versus woolen. Worsted, you do not let that twist into that drafting triangle. Woolen, you let that twist in. That's all you need to know. How you achieve that is entirely up to you, because it's your yarn and it's your technique and you're the one doing it. So do it how it makes you happy. Just know the difference between a woolen draft and a worsted draft. And that's how you control the characteristics of your yarn when you're finished. And this is literally my default drafting technique, is a woolen draft, a worsted draft. I told you I'm going to screw this up all the time. So it's a worsted draft, but it's a woolen long draw technique. But because I am not letting the twist into that drafting triangle, this is worsted. Doesn't matter that I'm doing some kind of weird worsted long draw technique. It is worsted draw because I am not letting that twist into the fiber. I can do a worsted short forward draw just by letting the twist into that fiber. This is woolen. It doesn't matter that I'm doing a short forward draw. This is woolen because I am letting that twist into the drafting triangle. And this is actually a great way to make a really nice fluffy yarn. If you want to make a heavier yarn and you have a hard time spinning for a chunky weight, this is the perfect way to do it. It's very, very easy to make a heavier yarn this way when you're used to spinning really ultra fine yarns. It's a great technique. Anyways, that's it for today, guys. Hopefully you found some of this useful, and hopefully I didn't mess up the terms too often, because, I mean, couldn't we have come up with completely different words instead of having 2 W words? Because that just, makes my head hurt. Regardless, I hope you found some of this useful in my own blathering fashion and my lack of following the rules. Technically, I did follow the rules on that, but regardless. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed, guys, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Dr. Chaos, out.